Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and it's Women's History Month, and I'm here today to talk to you about The Worst Witch, the 2017 series rundown review, part 2, because the first part got way too long, and it's like a 3-hour, close to 4-hour video, so I just wanted to split it in half. Felicity Foxglove, played by Dagny Rollins. So she's a made-up character for the show. And she's also that of Asian, like one of the first Asian characters that ever appeared in this series. Because most of the time when you see Asian people, they're like South Asian, Pakistani in this show, but you never see an actual Asian person. I think she's half. Even in the original series, they never had an Asian person unless that time that Japanese tourist people showed up on the show and they had that one South Asian actress and stuff. Because she's a made-up character, sadly, they can never figure out what to really do with this character. She's one of Ethel's friends, but even though she's Ethel's friend, she's actually really nice. She rarely ever hangs out with Ethel in the first season, but once Drusilla leaves, she's constantly hanging out with her. But she's, like I said before, she's actually really nice. She has a little shadiness to her where she'll act like she'll give shade in the form of eye expression to what's her name? Mildred and stuff and her friends, but that's about it. Because she's really not vicious at all. It is shown in the second season that she's a reporter and she wants to get the story no matter what, but this is rarely shown. Then what season was it? And I think it was the fourth season, I believe it was. She help Maud out by giving her a bit of a makeover with her hair because she has this potion and stuff, right? But then it's shown that she uses the potion on herself a whole lot more, and it gives you a confidence boost. It changes you from what you are, and what she is actually kind of like a hippie kind of person. And she doesn't want nobody to know that she's all about being a hippie. And when Maud reverses the spell, she does it too much, and it reverses the spell on everybody, and it shows what they really look like. And her and the other teenagers, the witches and the wizards, because they were having a party, it's shown that they don't like their appearance and they constantly change it. This was an interesting storyline and a very important one, and it should have been a whole lot bigger with more emphasis on it, because of the simple fact a lot of people do not like their appearance, and we're supposed to teach body positivity. I remember back when I was in college and I learned how to use Photoshop, so many people was using Photoshop to cover up little imperfections, whether it be their teeth, a pimple, their weight, whatever, you know what I'm saying, or loss of hair. And so this is something that should have been a much bigger episode and a bigger teaching lesson, but sadly it wasn't. However, it was nice to finally give her something, you know what I'm saying? And another thing they gave her is that they shown that her and her family, they're more connected to nature, and they can speak to plants, and they can use their magic to sense something going on with nature and stuff like that. It took all the way to the fourth season to finally give her something really to do, you know what I'm saying? And it took way too long because they never really could figure out what they wanted to do with this character. She's nice, but she's Ethel's friend. She's a little shady, and the news reporting thing never went nowhere. Now, sadly, in the last episode, she does help Ethel out in a very bad way. When Mildred was casting her spell for Head Girl, she cast hers before hers and shattered Mrs. Cackle into a million pieces. And Mildred took the blame for it. And yet she never got in trouble for some bizarre reason. Mrs. Tapioca. She is played by Zeta Shatter, and they race bent this character. In the original series, she was Italian. I don't know what she is in the book, but in this show, they made her Pakistani, which is really cool because, in the first original series, there was a Pakistani Indian like character that they made up for the show. I'm still not sure why they race bent from one person of color to another person of color, because Italian is already a person of color, but it was cool to have like a Pakistani person on the show. She works in the kitchen, and unlike the original series, she's actually a witch. Whereas in the original one, she was like non-magical. Just like in the original, her kitchen's down in the basement, so the food is always cold. But in this version, her food does not taste very well. She has a daughter named Mabel who she steals like magical books from like the school to try to help her daughter be a better witch and everything. So Miss Cackle let her daughter come to like school. Her and her daughter can never really get along. But it is shown that she gets jealous when her daughter likes the other teachers more than her. In the fourth season, she actually starts a relationship kinda with Mr. Daisy and stuff. She's a bit hot-tempered as well. Beatrice tends to get on her nerves by always talking about your food could taste better if you put like this ingredient in it or something else. Mabel Tapioca, played by Annette Hannah. I'm not sure what race she is. She appears to be Asian. Not sure if she's like, like Northern, Eastern, Western Asian or South Asian. But like she's the daughter of Mrs. Tapioca, so she appears in the third season and also the fourth. When she couldn't do too well at her other school. When she arrives at Miss Cackle's academy, she seems really pissed off that she's there, and even more pissed off that she has to be around her mother. And she literally said, my father would hear about this. So it made me assume that Mrs. Tapioca is still married, but I guess not if she's trying to start a relationship with Mr. Daisy. She becomes friends with Sybil and her friends, changing the trio to like a quintet and everything. I think that's how you say like fours and like that, like type of way. I think it's like quintet. But anyway, this actress has dwarfism, and that's really cool representation because, this show, a lot of TV shows just don't do that unless they want to make fun of people like that. But her character, it's hard to kind of place her character because it's kind of like when she starts off in the show in the third season, she seems like she's pissed about being at Miss Cackle's academy, but then as soon as she says that, she smiles like she's really happy to be there. So that's never really explained why, but then they're shown to show her having a food cart and charging people money and stuff. And you think she would griff on people and like, and stuff like that, but she doesn't. She never like tries to like, haggle with people. She never tries to like cheat them out their money. So I don't like get the whole food cart thing. Plus we never really see her cook. You know what I'm saying? Then in the fourth season, also in the third season, she the one who put the spell on her mom's cake, and that caused Mrs. Bat and Mr. Rowan Webb to like have that argument and stuff like that. But other than that, we've never really found out why she doesn't really like her mom that much. But she does get jealous when she sees Mr. Rowan Webb, start to like her mom to where she sabotages his equipment and stuff and makes him look like a fool. But for the most part, she's really nice to the trio and everybody else. It's just for some reason her and her mom just can't like get along. Now her hair changes from both seasons. In the third season, it's more like a short bob. But in the fourth season, she takes Sybil's hairstyle, which is like a braided crown, but her braided crown, like the braided part, is purple. Miss Drill, played by Shauna Shim. So, they race bent this character to black, and this character, unlike the original, has magic. She's a witch. One reason why they probably did that is because of the whole overarching storyline of the entire series of non-magical people being at that school. Like that's what the whole thing about like Mildred was. She came from a non-magical family at first until it was found out that she actually came from one. And like um so they can't really have her like what's her name? I'm having like a hard time trying to remember people's names this morning, mainly because I'm really busy and I got some tree trimming to do. But let's see, what's that teacher's name? Miss Hardbroom and Ethel. Because they despise non-magical people, I guess they didn't want to make her non-magical. She's a really nice person, and she mostly handles detention and sports activities. She also handles detention. I think I just said, I told you, man, my memory, man. Like, I don't know what's going on this morning. Like, my memory's like gone and stuff. Because I'm thinking about that giant tree I have to cut down. Anyway, so, like, turns out in the past she was really good at sports until she got injured by being pushed off her broom by that one teacher I told you about earlier. And for the most part, like she doesn't really have, just like with like Felicity, she doesn't really have like no like backstory or anything until the fourth season. It took them that long to finally give her something. And so her backstory, like I told you before, she was an athlete until she got pushed and now she has a nagging injury. And because of that, she does not like that teacher all that much because of what she did. She helps the girls escape the banishment when Agatha Cackle sends them there. All right, let's start with the trio and everything, which now instead of a duo, it's a trio, but then later turns into a quintet. So the trio is pretty much led by that Sybil from the books and everything, Sybil Hallow. She is now as the series progresses, they do take up a lot of screen time from that of like, you know, the older trio and stuff. And I like that in some regards because unlike the original series, the new trio actually has like stuff to do of their own and not just in like one solo episode like in the original. They're on their own little mischief like deeds and stuff because they get in trouble like a lot. And I really like that because it gives them equal footing to that of the older trio and stuff. And this is when I say like the story is elevated, it evolved because it gave them their own side plot within individual episodes of like the older trio and stuff. But sadly, by the fourth season, they're basically background characters, it feels like. Because, you know, you have a new trio and new younger characters, and they get more screen time than they do. And basically, the original trio just has like one like solo episode, and it's barely a solo episode and stuff. Like they really feel like they're pushed to like the side and everything for the newer characters. This sister of Ethel and Esmeralda and played by Trixie Hyde. So Sybil is kind of like the new worst witch when she comes to the school in her first year in season 2. She's unsure of herself, she's not good with potions, she's scared of heights, and she can't fly on a broom. She's basically Mildred Hubble and everything. And she's a crybaby. Now, thankfully, in this series, unlike the original, she doesn't cry that much and she doesn't whine that much. In the original, oh my god, dude, like that character got on my nerves. But she only cries about twice, but she's very, very, very unsure of herself. With the help of her best friends and the help of like the older trio, she does start to build confidence as the series progresses and stuff. She is terrified of Ethel and loves Esmeralda. One of the main reason why Esmeralda took the powers from that of the Founding Stone is because Ethel put like a barrier around her room and Sybil got stuck there. The only way out was to climb out the window, but then she became stuck on like either the roof or like a pole or something like that. And so Esmeralda just took the powers of like the Founding Stone, even though she really didn't want to, but she wanted to save her sister. It was at the point where Sybil was literally about to fail all her classes, especially level potions, because Miss Harbroom expected her to be as good as her other two sisters. With the help of Ethel, who was now a swamp like troll and stuff, she helped her sister like pass the class, which is odd because she's so hard on her sister. Just like in the book, in the original series, her room does catch a fire and stuff. However, she ends up with the Founding Stone by mistake because Beatrice like teleported them there and teleported them out, and she grabbed it by mistake. Being afraid she would be expelled, she hid it under her bed, but then it went missing. And like I said before, as the series progresses, she does start to gain a lot more confidence. Now, her hair kind of changes a little bit. In season 2 and 3, she has a crown braid around like her head. Unlike that of the book in the original series, where her hair just like, goes down and stuff. And she lets it flow. But just like in the books and just like the original series, she does later on don pigtails and stuff because Mildred Hubble becomes like her inspiration. She becomes a huge fan of her, which pisses off her sister. But then in the last season, she changes her hairstyle completely to where it looks like she has two long braids going in the back like ponytails and stuff. Clarice Twig, played by Kitty Slack. So, just like in the books in the original series, she is best friends with that of Sybil. However, this one does not have red hair. And also, this one has more of a personality than the original series one did. This one is very book smart and very logical and stuff. She doesn't really find things much humorous, but she does like pretend to have like a sense of humor when she tries to pull a prank on her friends. But Ethel took the prank by mistake and had paint fall on her. At one episode, she has a wart on her, which the girls assume is a worry wart. Oh, that's a tongue twister. And when they tell her all her problems, and she doesn't want to hear them. For the most part, she is very nice, but she is kind of rude because, she's so smart. In a way, she kind of looks down on people, but not really. You know what I'm saying? She's just very blunt with them. In the third season, she takes a liking to Ethel and everything and finds her to be her inspiration. But no, what was that? The second or the third? No, okay, it was the third because the whole wishing star. And Ethel wants her to steal the wishing star, but she doesn't want to do it because she doesn't want to break the rules. Why on earth would she find Ethel to be inspirational? I have no idea. Because she's too smart to know that Ethel is too bad. And for the most part, she's also an inventor. She created these pants that cause you to hover because hovering spells is too dangerous. And so, but Azula ended up stealing her pants. She does have a bit of a temper when things don't go her way in terms of wanting to study or when people try to break the rules and stuff. Beatrice Bunch. Now, I'm not sure how to say the actress name. Jens Williams. So she is created for that of the show. And they put her with Sybil and Clarence and stuff. she's a really cool character. Like she's just so like adorable with the rest of the new trio and everything. And so, like in the first season, the trait that they give her is that she has allergies to cats. And so, why go to Miss Cackle when cats are familiar? Just go to like another school, but she doesn't want to. So, because of that, it causes her to sneeze, and because her powers are so young, she constantly teleports everywhere every time she sneezes. I like this sneezing trait because it gave her something actually fun to do. Especially when she accidentally teleported Sybil and she stole the founding stone, or when she teleported in the kitchen and overheard some dastardly deed, like something bad happening. However, this trait goes away very quickly because Miss Cackle cures her allergies and stuff, which was a bummer because like it gave her something to do. It took a while for them to actually give her like something else. She breaks the rules not on purpose, but like by mistake, and she's kind of bad with magic here and there. She's like a little impulsive when she created a vortex and everything. I think things either came out of it or went into it. I can't remember. But like in about the third season, they paired her with Miss Tapioca because she didn't like her food. So then she started working in the kitchen, and then Miss Tapioca stole one of her cooking books, which of course she gave to her daughter and stuff. And like so she started working in the kitchen and started cooking a little bit more and created a seasoning that makes everything taste better. Like I said before, by the fourth season, they become background characters and stuff. Now, one interesting thing about the actress is that, like, she's a dancer. No, that's not interesting. But what's interesting about that is that in the original series, there was a black actress, and when she left the show, she later became a dancer. So that's kind of cool. Both black actresses became, like, dancers and stuff. It would be cool if they could dance together. Miss Ada Cackle, played by Claire Higgins. So she is the head mistress at Cackle's Academy. She has kind of like blondish grayish hair and a short bob. She wears glasses and she has a twin sister named Agatha, who's evil and everything. Miss Cackle is a very kind, sweet-hearted woman who is very soft-spoken. She is like the matriarch of like that school, and everybody respects her and everybody loves her. This version normally wears pink, and she's a whole lot more soft-spoken than the one from the original series, which I like because it's very Dumbledore-ish and stuff. And like she is the one who always looks out for Mildred. Like Mildred came from a non-magical family, and non-magical people aren't supposed to be at that school, but she bends the rules to allow her. And so many times when Mildred is supposed to be suspended, she comes close but always finds a way to like forgive her and stuff like that, and to allow her to continue with her classes. She does have a mean streak, but her voice rarely like shouts like the original one. But it gets to the point where Mildred starts to be too much of a handle, and she constantly keeps warning Mildred that look, if you keep breaking the rules, or if you don't like, learn how to do this, I have no choice but to like, expel you and everything. She doesn't want to do it because she realizes how much Mildred really wants that, but she has no choice because, Millie is Millie. And she also allows Mildred to allow non-magical girls to come to that school and that of her mother, which is a decision she comes to regret in season 3 when her mother takes the powers of the wishing star and shrinks a couple of the people there and turns evil. This is when you really see her anger come out because she was one of those people who got shrunk. In season 2, she gets kicked out of like the academy and fired and stuff because Ethel's mom doesn't like how things are going. Her sister nearly got burnt. Her other daughter got turned into a pig. Her other daughter lost her magic. So she's fed up with Miss Cackle and everything and doesn't want her to be the head mistress there no more and forges signatures from the other parents to get her kicked out of the school. No matter how much she pleaded with the council and the kids also pleaded, it was no go until later it's found out that Mrs. Hallow was the one who forged the signatures and stuff. She's one of the older teachers there, other than Miss Bet, and Miss Heartbroom really respects her and stuff. In the fourth season, she gets like shattered because of Ethel and that of Felicity, and she becomes a necklace around that of her sister's neck. When she was younger, she was a bit of a bad girl, but her sister was worse, and because of that, her mom changed the birth certificates to show that Ada, who actually came second, was the firstborn. She loves her sister to death, and because of that, she never punished her that strictly. She mostly just strips her of her powers or puts her in a painting or shrinks her and stuff like that. But she keeps getting tricked by that of her sister a lot, even though she's supposed to be this like very wise type of person. And even though she's powerful, it seems that Miss Heartbroom might be even more powerful and Miss Bet might be even wiser. Agatha Cackle. So she is the evil twin of that of Ada. And Agatha is the only adult to ever have a name throughout, like, in the books. And she keeps that name also in the original series. Unlike the original series, this version dresses more like a business like skirt attire, and she doesn't have glasses. She also likes putting her hands on her hips, and she's mean, and I mean she's mean. Now, because it's a kid's show, she can't really do anything bad, so she mostly turns people into animals or balloons. But just like in the original, series and in the books, she wants to take over the school. And so she tries to do it by like fighting her sister and stuff like that, but Mildred always defeats her and stuff. In, of course, a silly kind of way. When she gets stripped of her powers and sent to confinement in this one house, with the help of Gullet and everything, she gets freed. And with the help of Mildred finding out when Mildred got kicked out of school. She steals that of Esmeralda's powers because Ethel helped her. Ethel is always helping her out. And so even though she knows she's really evil, but Ethel never knows the full extent of her plans. Ethel. Anyway, so she steals that of a teenage girl powers. And you think that would not be enough to go against the Great Wizard, but it was, because she forces Mrs. Heartbroom to work alongside her, vowing to destroy the school and all the students in it if Miss Heartbroom does not help her. And so they was able to defeat the Great Wizard and stuff. But of course, Mildred is always the one that stop her. So in the season finale of season 1, she decides, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna blow up the school and everything. So the school starts to fall down. But with the help of all the girl students, they are able to save the school, and Agatha is defeated by being placed in a portrait where she stays until the very last season. Somebody almost freed her in season 2, but then in season 4, Ethel once again works alongside her and frees her just so Ethel can be head girl. But she had no idea that now, instead of wanting to destroy the school and take it over, now Agatha wants to take over the entire wizarding world and everything. And so because of that, Ada is now shattered in a million pieces around her neck, and she put a brooch on that of Miss Heartbroom to where if Miss Heartbroom uses any kind of magic, it will automatically get redirected to the necklace, killing that of Ada. And she sends all the students and all the teachers and Mildred's mother all to the Vanishment. The Vanishment is kind of like a landfill of lost magical items. Basically, you make a portal somewhere and you just throw it away like trash and it gets sent there. At 12 a.m. or 12 noon, I can't remember which one, everything gets recycled there. So she plans on killing all the students and all the teachers and stuff unless the great wizard gives up his position and his power and give it to her. And the only way to get them out of there is they have to know the name of her familiar cat, which nobody knows except for Ada. So when Maple tells them that my mom has a portal in her kitchen to the Vanishment, they all climb out of there. But Mrs. Hubble is unable to climb out until Ada comes back, and she says the name of the familiar, saying that she doesn't want to go back into the painting. I can't believe what Agatha did. Like, she literally sacrificed her life. She sent herself into the Vanishment as everything was getting recycled, killing herself. I couldn't believe they went there and everything. Because they finally decided, okay, whatever, this is the last season. We're taking the kitty gloves off and everything. She straight up killed herself because she didn't want to go back inside of a painting and stuff. I can't believe they did that. Mrs. Joy Hecate Hardbroom, played by Raquel Cassidy. This Miss Hardbroom is mean. And I mean, she is mean. Meaner than that of the original ones. See, the original ones were mean as well. And yes, they spied on the students, and they will always teleport in and out, and they will always shout at the students. But when she shouts, you can hear it from another city. She shouts very, very, very meanly and stuff, and she is just angry. But she also talks like Snape in that slow, creepy way. And in the first season, she did it a lot. And I mean a lot, but only for the first couple of episodes. But then other than that, she started speaking in a very normal kind of way. But then towards the end of the series, she starts to roll her R's a lot. But I missed that Snape way of her talking very slowly in that creepy, scary kind of way, because it made her even scarier and everything. Especially when she thought this one teacher came to Cackles that she admired, and she gave her a bunch of books talking about, I know you will love these books as much as I do. And she said it in the creepiest, slow kind of talking way. She also has long black nails and dresses all in black. And just like the original Miss Hardbroom, she has a variety of different black outfits. Some have a pattern design, some have kind of like a silky kind of design, others a cotton design, and others with a pop collar and everything. She wears her hair up, just like that of the original one. I think in the book she wore stripes and everything. I'm glad they put it all in black in the television series and stuff. She does not like Mildred Hubble at all. At all. And one reason is because she comes from a non-magical family. The reason for this is because of Indigo. When she was a teenager, she was wild. She left the wizarding world and just started partying it up in the real world, eating ice cream, dancing, and listening to music different than chanting and stuff. And there she befriended that of Indigo. And of course, like I said before, it gave her powers and this and that. Learning from her mistake, after Indigo turned to stone, she changed her appearance to look like more of an uptight type person, and she just studied non-stop. And she took the witch's code to heart and everything instead of breaking it. And so she's very much traditional in the old ways of like magic. Now, her and Indigo seem to be more than that of friends. And it was revealed by one of the writers that this version of Miss Heartbroom is like, a closeted lesbian and stuff and never comes out. So it's hinted that she is a lesbian, which a lot of people always assume even the original one might have been a lesbian because of the way like they act and everything. Just like in the original series, this Miss Heartbroom does not like to walk around and she constantly teleports places. When the girls are doing magic and doing it wrong, she constantly pops in and out, helping them, and sometimes even so much as grabbing their spoon and helping them to stir in a very creepy kind of way. She reveals to Mildred in the last season the reason why she's so mean to everybody, and she doesn't hate Mildred, but she knows that if she doesn't push them, then they will just slack off. And she doesn't want nobody slacking off with magic because magic can be very dangerous and stuff. Ethel is normally her favorite student, but after a while, she tends to get irritated by Ethel because Ethel revealed to Indigo who Miss Harbroom really was and stuff. And in the last season, because Ethel wanted to be head girl, that like, she ended up getting Mr. Daisy fired and stuff. Now, unlike the original Miss Heartbroom, this one tends to like have a weird kind of like grin when she's like freaked out by someone or irritated by someone. And I don't really like this grin because it makes her seem humorous and everything. And I like my Miss Heartbroom to be mean. However, there have been times where girls have cast spells on her, either love potion spells or to make her more friendly, and she acts silly and wacky. And it's really funny to see her act silly and wacky when she's under a spell only. She has a great deal of respect to Mrs. Cackle. And the whole Indigo saga, that was very fascinating. And it really changed the dynamic of who Miss Heartbroom is. It's shown that she is a normal person. It's shown that she is a caring person and a nice person. This is elevation through the level when it comes to that of her character. And I love the evolution of it because she decided, you know what, this is my shame, this is my punishment. I've been confined to this school magically for 30 years and everything. She cannot leave. And every day she has to live with this regret. This is why she's so hard on her students. And when there's a possibility she could save Indigo, she tells Mildred not to because, like, Indigo would never change and she doesn't want to have to explain to Indigo what all happened and breaks her heart. But Indigo is freed and she wants nothing to do with her whatsoever, not even to tell her that her real name is Joy. But later on, like I said before, Ethel lets it slip. And so then after that, she's very hard on Indigo because she wants Indigo to succeed. But what Indigo had no idea was that Mrs. Heartbroom was actually going to adopt her because that is her best friend who she loves to death. And she knows that the girl had nobody until she realizes she had actually a mother back in the day. And so this is why she sent her back through time and erased her memory and stuff. Because as much as she wants her to stay with her, she knows she'll be better off with her mother and she won't be turned to stone and everything. This was one of the hardest decisions she had to make, but she knew she made it because it was the best choice and stuff. Like I said before, man, this Mrs. Heartbroom has been elevated leaps and bounds from that of the original source material and that of the original series. Ethel Hallow, played by Jenny Richardson. Whew. This version of Ethel is vicious, man. She is twisted. She is demented. But, there's a lot more underneath the surface that people don't realize. It's when she whines and she complains, you understand why she is the way she is. But my God, they wrote this girl to be demented. Like, she is just cruel and everything. She's way meaner and vicious than the original one from the original television series. And Draco Malfoy is based off of her character, but he's a kitten compared to her pit bullness and her rock rolliness and everything. Cause she's meaner than he is. He's more of a coward and stuff. And give a round of applause to Jenny for doing a phenomenal job portraying this character, because this was her first acting gig. And sadly, she's only had one other acting gig after this in 2023. I don't know. I don't understand why some of the cast here haven't been casted like in anything else. Because she was so good in this role. Like, she really commanded, like, this role and stuff. So, Ethel. Ethel is a very vain, very selfish, highly intelligent, and very mean person. She is the type of person that wants to be the best at everything. And I mean everything. She's a phenomenal spellcaster, a phenomenal flyer on her broom. But when she doesn't get her way, that's when she turns into a queen bee and everything. She has two best friends in this series, and they pretty much just kind of like do her bidding. But even the niceness of Felicity does not rub off on her. The thing about her is that she's highly jealous, and that what causes her to act out. Another thing that causes her to act out is she wants to be accepted by her parents. There isn't much known about her father other than him looking very stern, but her mother is kind of just like her. Like, if there's something she wants badly, she will do it by cheating and stuff. However, her mother and father don't have time for her. She is the middle child and everything. And as we all know, the middle child doesn't get that much attention. Her older sister, Esmeralda, is an exceptional witch and a head girl, but when she loses her powers, her parents take more need to, give her more attention and stuff to that of her needs, because she's having a hard time adjusting to that of the mortal world. Then there's her younger sister, Sybil, who is kind of like Mildred Hubble in the fact that, like, she's clumsy and she's the worst witch. And because she's the youngest, she gets more attention. So that just leaves Ethel, like, yearning for the attention and love of her parents, which she does not always get. And I'm glad they gave her an older sister in this series to explain her jealousy and stuff, because it would be kind of weird for an older girl to be jealous of a younger girl in Sybil. She hates Mildred Hubble to death. And of course, she gives her that famous nickname of Hubble Bubble. Which she only uses once, sadly, in this series. But she hates her to death solely for the fact that Mildred comes from a non-magical family originally and stuff. She doesn't like the idea of mortals, and she doesn't like the idea of mortals going to a wizarding school. And so because of that, that fuels her hatred for Millie. But her hatred intensifies when Millie starts to actually learn stuff and starts to excel in stuff and starts to get recognition by people like the Great Wizard and get like a plaque and all this other stuff. It causes her jealousy to like intensify and enrage. And that's why she does all the bad things that she does. It's because of the simple fact she is jealous. Like every episode, and I kid you not, nearly every episode, she is trying to get Mildred expelled and stuff because she just doesn't want her there. She wants all the vanity for herself. And so, like, she will either sneak around and spy on Mildred and then tattle on her, or she will literally frame her for something. And Ethel, just like nearly every relative she's had, like all her ancestors, they just lie, cheat, and steal and everything to get their way. When she sees that, she's kind of annoyed by that and kind of like she doesn't want to end up like them because, like, one of her ancestors supposed to be so great and was supposed to, like, fix the founding stone, but it was revealed that she lied and stuff, and it was really Mildred's ancestor from 600 years ago that actually fixed the stone. And so, she doesn't want to be as wicked as them, but no matter what, and no matter what the situation is, she constantly does wicked stuff. It's just like part of her nature just to be bad and everything. Like in her second year, she gets turned into a pig by mistake by Millie. So this causes her to get revenge and turn Millie into that of a frog. But she doesn't just turn her into a frog. She picks her up, she opens the window, and she throws her like a baseball through the window and everything. When Millie hit the ground, technically she should have died and everything, but she doesn't. And it's just kind of like she had no regard for Millie's safety and stuff. But yeah, she will constantly use her friends just to do her bidding, like Drusilla. She had her imitate Miss Cackle on the phone. That's called for expulsion, but Drusilla didn't get expelled, but she did transfer to Miss Pentangles the next season. Then she had Felicity literally turn Miss Cackle into glass and shatter her. Why? Because she is always working with Agatha Cackle, the evil twin. It's such a weird thing that she will befriend a sinister person, but she admires her and kind of respects her and stuff. And she, Miss like Agatha Cackle's always having some kind of like scheme. So one of her schemes was after she failed to take over the school in the pilot, she used like Ethel to get back into the school, and she stole Esmeralda's powers. Ethel had no idea this was gonna happen and felt bad. There are times where she does feel bad about getting Millie almost expelled and stuff because she realized that her mean girl ways go a bit too far. However, when Esmeralda loses her powers and stuff, she like gets so mad that she blames Mildred for it, even though it's her fault. Because she just can't put the blame on herself, and she always finds a way to get pissed off at Millie. And then, like, not only that, but she wanted to be head girl in the series finale and stuff. And so she released Agatha Cackle from her confinement of the painting. And it's like the woman is evil. The woman tried to take over the school. The woman turned people into frogs and balloons, and she's gonna release her just so she can be head girl for like 1 or 2 years of head girl. To have a sash, I can't talk, sash around like your belt and everything and badges and get to tell people what to do. That's literally all she wanted, and she released one of the most evil people in the wizarding world just for that. But then once again realizing that she had no idea Miss Agatha Cackle was going to send everybody to the banishment so they can be killed and everything, that's when she turned her back on Agatha Cackle so that Millie could help save the day. She's always getting detention because she's always trying to, like, get Millie suspended. So she's always cheating, stealing, lying, this and that, right? And one of the things, like, it's weird. She rarely gets like punished. She got shrunk one time and had to write a bunch of sentences, but that's about it. They never expel this girl for all the evil things and all the horrible things that she does. And I don't know why. It's like they feel sympathy for her because of the simple fact they understand how jealous she is and stuff, and that's why she acts out. But when you align yourself with Agatha Cackle, she should be thrown in prison for that, but never like is. Like, she literally caused the head teacher to get shattered into glass by having her friend do that. And she never got expelled. She never got arrested. Nothing like that. One time, Miss Cackle tried to get her to like Millie because she realized things were getting too heated between those two, even to the point where in the third season, when she sees Millie is flying very well and wants to know why and realizes she has a dog, she hops on her broomstick and she literally just starts attacking Millie while flying on a broom. And that was like highly dangerous and stuff because they could have fallen hundreds of feet out of the air. Not only that, but she stole Mildred's like project because she forgot to pack her own and blamed it on Sybil. So she stole that of Millie's turtle and that of the spell to make him talk and make other animals talk and stuff. Not only that, but when Mildred like was like stuck on like a pole or something like that. And when she's with Sybil, she's literally just reading Mildred's spell, but like not even trying to help the girl and stuff. In nearly every season, she is like turned into something. So, like in season two, I believe it is, she's turned into a swamp troll because she kept using her magic out of anger, and that's what happens to you. And nobody could understand her, so they assumed a troll broke into the school and tried to attack everybody. But thanks to Sybil, who was able to understand her, she was able to tell like everybody like who she is, but she had to commit an act of kindness with magic in order to break the spell. So when she helped Sybil pass her test, her potions test, that broke like the spell. But then when she was out in the woods, she saw a tree and just started blasting it for the heck of it and stuff. And so like I guess the tree was magical and she carved a mask out of the wood, and when she put it on her face, it got stuck. And Felicity and the others had to help her get it off. Oh, back to the whole Miss Cackle realizing those two are getting too heated, she put like a friendship spell on those two. That if they argued, the thing would get tighter and their arms would be stuck together. This caused them to have to sleep together, brush their teeth together. I don't even want to imagine how they showered. But both of them ended up saving the new trio when Sybil's room caught on fire. So doing the whole founding like stone thing, right? When the founding stone went like missing, she created a clone of herself. And we thought that she did it just to like, advance in like her potions. But really, she revealed it to Esmeralda. She wanted her clone to go find her and like tell her that she stole the founding stone because she found it under Sybil's bed and she created a duplicate. And so, like, yeah, she wanted to give Esmeralda the founding stone so she can have her powers back. But the thing is that she didn't do this because she wanted her sister to have her powers. She did it because she's tired of her family being embarrassed by having a mortal in their family, and she didn't like that. So she did it for selfish reasons and stuff. Then, like when it came to the wishing star, She did not like Indigo Moon because of the simple fact she didn't know who she was, and she was a mortal who was later given powers and stuff. So when the Great Wizard gave Miss Bat and her husband like the wishing star, they gave it to Mildred, and Ethel lied and said, "Oh, I'll take care of it," but she uses it to create a ruse and everything. Basically, she wanted the whole school to think that Indigo turned evil and tried to destroy the school again, and she was the only person who had to save her. She created a protection spell, and she redirected Indigo, well, fake Indigo's lightning. So when she like saved the day, she was bragging, and but then didn't realize that the spell was still going on, and Indigo never got defeated. So then she had no way of saving the school. She told herself, what was it? Oh, completely forgot, doing the founding stone thing. So she was gonna finally, get her comeuppance, and she's all like, all right, fine, this is my fault, and I'm gonna give up my powers, and then all my descendants won't have no like magic for the next like 600 years or 13 generations or whatever. So she's about to give up her power, but first she wanted to give a speech about how amazing she is. Note that the school is freezing over and some of the students and teachers have frozen to ice, and she's too busy wanting to give a speech. That is how vain that girl is. But there are times when she does get along with Mildred, like when the mist of time sent them both in the past. She went like through the mist so she could find her cat, her familiar. Then, like, there are times, like I said before, when she helped save Sybil's life with Mildred, but then realizes towards the very, very end of the series, Mildred's really not that bad, and she realizes it's just because of her jealousy, and of course, Mildred made her her advisor when Mildred became head girl. So, yeah. And just like in the books, and unlike the original series, she has long blonde hair that she keeps in a ponytail with a giant black bow. Kind of reminding me of Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls. The trio. The trio is some of the best friends in this entire series. There are multiple trios in the series, about 4 or 5 of them, and they all are very similar. There's at least one black character, and one of them's kind of like the goofball, one of them's kind of like smart and mean, and the other is kind of like, the one that's kind of shy, awkward, or like messes and goofs up and everything. But the original trio is truly that of the best. It consists of that of Mildred, Maud, and that of Enid. 3 people that have 3 completely different personalities, but they complement each other very well. You have that of Mildred, who is clumsy and like is like the worst witch at learning how to be a witch. Then you have Maud, who's kind of shy, very smart, but also has a bit of a temper. Then you have Enid, who's just a goofball who likes to have fun and doesn't like being bored, so it causes her to break the rules and like use potions the way you're not supposed to like use them and stuff. I really like the dynamic of like the trio and stuff because it paved the way for the trio of like Miss Cacklehart, Broom, and Drill. Then the trio of that of Sybil, Clarice, and Beatrice. And then, of course, the other trio of like the newer, younger witches that come in the 4th season. Enid Nightshade, played by that of Tamara Smart. So they raised Ben Enid for this show and they changed her hairstyle. Normally she used to keep it in a ponytail in the original series in the book, but this time they gave her two buns on the side of her head, which I love the buns. It complements her adorableness. When Tamara was first in this show, in the first season, she was so short, so tiny, so adorable. When you saw her like run around, it was like the cutest little thing ever. Then she started getting taller, and she's probably one of the tallest girls in this series. The actress who plays Ethel is pretty tall. Now, Esmeralda always been tall, but in terms of like the first season younger cast, probably her and Jenny are probably like the tallest because the entire cast is still short to this day, ranging anywhere between 5'1" and around 5'4" or 5" and stuff. When it comes to that of Tamara, like only like I said before, only her and Bella are the only like younger cast that's getting like consistent work. Pretty much everybody else like doesn't really act that much, or this show was like one of their first or two gigs and stuff. This version of Enid actually comes from a very fancy family. They're rich and they're performers. And they also love the color purple, I've noticed. This Enid, just like all the other Enids, loves to have fun. For her, living life without like thrills and risks, just not living. Like you gotta yuck it up because she doesn't like taking things way too seriously. But there's a hidden meaning to why this version of Enid likes to be silly. It's to hide the pain. What kind of pain is she having? Well, her parents are never there. They're constantly touring around the world and performing. And so because of that, they constantly put Enid into schools, which she constantly gets kicked out of because she's always doing something silly or reckless. The fact that like in the first episode she appears in, and when her parents left and didn't even say goodbye, it really hurt her feelings and stuff. And this just causes her to always want to act out. Like there are times where she literally tried to get expelled from school hoping that like it will cause her parents to stop putting her in school and she can tour with them and she can just get like a tutor, but it never works and everything. And so, like, there was even one time where she calls Ethel to like clone herself only because she just thought it would be funny. And the girl has like a potion for just like every silly occasion that she wants to do. And one of the reasons for that is because her dad is very like, loves to use potions to have fun and stuff like that. Her and Millie and Maud get along very well. However, Maud does tend to get jealous of her because she spends a lot of time with that of Millie. And just like every other incarnation, she turns her cat Familiar into that of a spider monkey because she just thinks that a monkey would be a heck of a lot cooler to have as a familiar than that of a cat. And of course, the monkey gets loose and they have to chase it around and like all this other stuff. However, being friends with Maud and Millie is a great thing for her because they cause her to be a bit more serious at times. And that's something that would have never happened if she never became friends with them. And just like, with Maud, she helped save the day with that of Millie. Her and Ma do take a back seat towards around the third season or so because the new trio is still doing their thing. But like towards that of the fourth season, it's shown that she's really good in track and field, and she's one of the fastest people there. And then I already told you what happened with Miss Drill and Miss Hempenickle or whatever her name is. And that whole like racing like debacle and everything. Which, when she stole the formula, the spell from Mrs. Drill, she felt horrible and everything. So it causes her to like run away with that of her mom and perform with her mom. But then she goes back to school to set things right and to win the race, which a scout like noticed her and wants to offer her a deal at another school. I was shocked and surprised this happened because she has to leave the show around the sixth episode, I think it is, maybe eighth or something like that. And I was really shocked and surprised that she left. I'm like, no, like Enid can't leave. She has to finish the show out. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a really touching thing when she had to wave and say goodbye to all her friends and stuff. Because, like in the books, she becomes the deputy head girl when Millie becomes head girl. But because she left, they gave it to Maud in the show. Maud Spellbody, for the first time in this entire franchise, they finally gave her her last name, Spellbody. In the television movie, she was known as Maud Warlock. And then for the original series, they call her Maud Moonshine of all things. I don't know why they kept changing her name for. I mean, Spellbody isn't a bad name, and it's really cool sounding. So I'm not really sure why they didn't give her her name. Now, she's played by two completely different actresses who look very similar and stuff. They have similarities in their faces, and the second actress has a mole on her cheek. And their hair is completely different. The original actress, because Maud wears her hair in like pigtail plaits. And so like the original actress, her hair is more like thicker and bushier kind of. And the second actress hair is more longer and straighter. Now the original actress, now I cannot pronounce her name. It's Migaff or something like that, Campbell, and the second one is Megan Hughes. I'm not sure why the original actress left. Some people say it's because she didn't want to have to travel. I have no idea. But both actresses do act kind of different from each other. The original one is like when she has to act mean, she really acts mean and stuff. The second one acts more shy and timid and stuff. So when it comes to Maud, in this show, it's actually because of her that Mildred found out about witchcraft when Maud flew into that of her home. And so she was shocked and surprised to find out that, Mildred is able to see a witch through the invisibility cloak. So they head to Miss Cackle's academy, getting drenched in water and all this other stuff. And Maud is the best friend of that of Mildred and that of Enid, but more so that of Mildred. And she does get jealous if Mildred doesn't pay that much attention to her. Like when Enid came in, Millie started hanging out with her more, and it really made her jealous. And Ethel played on that by trying to say, oh, she has no time for you. You've been replaced and all this other stuff. And she also has a bit of like a temper. Sometimes if like that one episode with the Mist of Time, where Maud's mother or grandmother got kicked out of school, and like that turned the current day Maud to turn mean to where she'll ball her fist up at you and threaten to hit you and stuff. Also, when it came to Drusilla, like when Ethel turned Millie into a frog, she literally put Drusilla on a broom and flew her up into the clouds until that of like Drusilla explained what happened. She takes matters into her own hand, even going as far as helping Mildred get out of that correctional school and stuff. She is a very sweet, kind girl as well, and she's highly intelligent. And she's also a wart and everything. Every time Millie wants to break the rules or Enid wants to break the rules, she's there to reprimand them and tell them, hey, don't do it. You're gonna get in trouble. Like, she always is nagging them to like not do anything bad. But they never listen, and normally she has to correct their mistake and everything, which she gets tired of doing. However, she makes some mistakes of her own because she is so shy, and she's shy, she's timid, and she doesn't have much self-confidence and stuff. So because of that, she's always using a spell to be more confident or to do something she does not want. In one episode, she does not like PE and doesn't want to do it. So she wanted to turn her skin color green, trying to say she's sick, but the spell backfired and she turned purple. Now she's too embarrassed to come out, and with the help of Miss Drill, she gets over her embarrassment. There was some spell that she did wrong, and she was so embarrassed when parents had to come to the school that she made it so everybody would forget what she did was bad, but it caused everybody to actually forget her. And it took a good long while to make everybody remember her because nobody wanted to interact with her, especially that of Mildred and that of Enid. Then in the last season, like, she got a hair makeover by that of Felicity, but when she realized the potion can do more than just that, she used it to make herself into a diva. And she became like a queen bee who was rude and snarky to everybody. So when Millie got sent to that correctional school, she realized that it was Felicity that shattered Miss Cackle. When Miss Hardbroom did not want to listen, she literally just started tossing stuff around so she can get sent to the school as well. And so there she told Mildred, what happened, but she didn't think it through because how the heck are they going to escape? Well, eventually they do. And so, of course, so Millie can save the day once again. If it wasn't for Millie and Enid, Maud would probably never have the courage to, break the rules and do spells, or to get herself incarcerated so she can bail her friend out. It was even one time when Agatha Cackle tried to take over the school again, she pretended to hate Millie along with Miss Hardbroom just so Millie could leave, so that when everybody's getting like transformed into like animals or getting spells put on them, Millie would be the only person far away who could later save the day, and she was able to get a message out to that of Mildred. Mildred Hubble, played by two actresses, that of Bella Ramsey and that of Lyda Page. Now, I explained before the reason why they had to recast in the last season. Bella left the show stating that she was leaving acting for good because of her mental stress and stuff, or mental illness, whatever they call it, but then later came back to the world of acting. When it comes to that of Bella, like, truly you gotta give it up to her. She's a phenomenal actress. She played this role perfectly. Like, she was very animated with her movements, her facial expression, and she just didn't play a role. She embodied that role. You know what I'm saying? Like, she brought this character to life and everything. And just to prove that, you can have autism and you can excel and stuff. However, she didn't realize she had autism until just recently when working on The Last of Us. And so, like, I know Bella stated that, like, she gets scared of stuff like monster movies, horror movies, stuff like that. That might explain, it probably has something to do with her autism, because a lot of people who are autistic tend to be kind of like scared or like paranoid of stuff, like my one cousin. And so, like, yeah, I was really sad when she left, like, this show, man. This show is what caused me to like be a fan of hers because I've never heard of her before, you know. And every other role I've seen her in, she's done a great job in it. And nothing against Lyda. Lyda did, a great job as well. She played the character her own way, you know what I'm saying? And she had some really big shoes to fill and everything. So I hope the fans weren't too mean to her when she took over the role, because you know how fans can be. When somebody gets replaced, that's a fan favorite and stuff. And but like I give it up to Lyda, man. She has some big shoes to fill, and I do like her version of Mildred. The only problem with her version of Mildred, it is very different from that of Bella and stuff. They wrote her to be more comedic and stuff, and more wide-eyed and almost kind of oblivious to certain things happening. But that's just the writers and stuff. And and it was kind of weird that like if they was gonna recast her, at least try to find an actress that looks like Bella and everything, because this girl has like strawberry blonde red hair. That don't make no sense. Just make it make sense. They should have put a wig on her or dye her hair, but since it was going to be one season, and they knew this was the last season, because how are they going to go on with the show without the main lead and have to replace her? Fans, I told you this before, when you have to recast your main lead or replace them, shows don't last long at all. And I just don't understand why they didn't put a wig or like, dye her hair. Because even when she found out that one girl, Isabella, was her half sister, Isabella has like reddish hair, and it's just kind of like that don't make sense either. So Mildred Hubble is the worst witch. A girl who originally did not come from a magical family and got thrust into this world of like, the imagination of magic and stuff. And she could not handle like learning magical stuff at first. She had a rough time. Like, the writer of the book says she based her off of her. Like, when she went to school, she was clumsy. She sometimes didn't always do good in school and this and that, because she went to a private school. And so Miss Cackle's Academy is that of a private school for witches and stuff. And, it had to been so difficult for her to try to learn witchcraft, because this is something she's only seen in television and stuff. Like, she is the worst at almost everything. She can't ride a broom. Her familiar, like, is also kind of scared to be on the broom as well. She's terrible at casting potions. She's terrible at chanting. All of the like spells that she casts tend to backfire in her first 2 years or so, but mostly that of her first year. And because of that, it causes your self-esteem to be low and everything. And there have been so many times in that first year where she was almost expelled because either she just couldn't handle it, or she just didn't know what she was doing and she was causing harm to like other people and stuff, because if you don't master your spells, it can seriously backfire in a bad way. And but Miss Cackle, bless her heart, kept giving her chance after chance, especially after that Miss Heartbroom gave her an extremely hard time throughout the entire series. But she stuck it through. And one of the reasons why she stuck it through is because, she really enjoyed this different world of magic and stuff. She can do anything as long as she can get her spells right. And she had two amazing best friends and stuff. So she didn't want to give it up. And of course, she is the one who defeated Agatha Cackle and stuff for the second time. And so because of that, it gave her some recognition and stuff. And when it comes to her friends, they literally became like family to her. So, by that of the second year, she was gonna prove that she's no longer the worst witch. She is gonna apply herself. She's gonna study harder and learn to master everything that comes to that of witchcraft. And in the second season, when she stumbles upon something that causes like more of the building to shatter, from the first season, the founding stone got discovered. And so, under her wing, I guess you could say it's the new trio. So she tries to look out for them here and there, you know what I'm saying? And so, like in the second season, a lot of her spells are still backfiring and everything, but she's getting more comfortable with witchcraft. She's learning the ropes a whole lot better. She can fly a bit better. A lot of her spells don't like, backfire and stuff. But she's very impulsive when it comes to doing things. Like when she turned herself into a bat to escape her room. And she forgot that when you turn yourself into an animal, you tend to lose yourself and tend to forget who you are. But with a bat, because they have tiny brains, they forget a lot faster. Which it was really fun seeing her fly around going wee and everything. But she is the one who helped like find the fake founding stone and stuff like that. And like during the second season, she is trying her best to find out if she comes from a wizarding or a witch type family. The brat that she is lies and say Mr. Rowan Webb is that of her grandfather. So she takes more of a liking to him because she got turned into a frog in the second season. And he helped her, like, navigate life as a frog and try to get back into the castle to avoid the familiar so they don't get eaten up so she can get turned back into that of a human. And so she helped him turn into a human. So those two always had a close connection. And he's probably her favorite, like, teacher there. But when Ethel lied about the whole grandfather thing, she really believed it only to have her feelings hurt and her heart broken. But then, not everything's going to be good for her at school because Miss Harbroom cannot stand her. Miss Harbroom is extremely tough on Mildred because one, she comes from a non-magical background, and I told you before with the whole indigo thing. So that's why one reason why she's so hard on her all the time. For some reason, Mildred always gets tasked with having to show a new witch the ropes. When Enid came in and Indigo came in, who are two goofballs and everything, it had to be her responsibility to straighten them up, and if not, she gets expelled. I don't know why they keep doing that to her, but they just love doing that to her. So when it came to that, the Founding Stone, and the Founding Stone sucked all the magic out and started turning the whole school into ice, and some of the teachers and students, Mildred, of course, had to be the one to save the day. But she ended up getting turned into ice very, very quickly and stuff. So I was like, wow, how the heck is she gonna like save the day if she turned to ice? Well, because magic was going haywire, on their family tree, there are little versions of their ancestors and stuff. And so the version of her mom jumped off the tree and ran all the way to find the real Julie Hubble with 3 centimeters or inches of legs and everything. And she had to run a long, long way and down a hill. But she did it. Because even the little tree version of her loves Mildred and stuff. And so Julie comes back to the school and she's devastated to see her daughter turn to ice, and she gives her a hug, and the warmth of the love is what freed Mildred. So they had to find the ancestor witch that, like, restored the powers to the original founding stone and stuff back in the day. And when it turned out it wasn't a Hallow, it was actually a Hubble. So it turns out she does come from a magical family from 600 years ago, but that witch had to give up her powers, and 13 generations of witches never had no magic until Mildred was born. So Mildred is going to, like, when Ethel doesn't sacrifice her powers, Mildred's gonna do it. And she actually does, giving up her powers and stuff. Something that she loves to death, but she just wants to save the school. And but with the touching words she told to that of Miss Mold later gave Mildred back her powers, and then she sacrificed hers. But this wasn't the first time Mildred saved the day. In the finale of the first season, when Agatha Cackle started to destroy the school, Mildred and the rest of the girls ran out the building, and Mildred wasn't going to have any of that. She grabbed Maud and Enid's hand, and she starts to chant. And she causes them to chant. Then the entire school starts to chant with them, creating such a powerful barrier that they was able to stop the school from tearing completely apart. This took a lot of courage and determination and a lot of confidence from that of Mildred, because remember, in this first season she was the worst witch. By the third season, she is no longer the worst witch, and she is praised by many, even the great wizard who originally did not like her. She's given a plaque for saving the school twice and recovering and restoring that of the founding stone. And so she gets a brand new familiar. Mildred is the only person to have two familiars. Tabby is her original familiar, which is a tabby cat. The only tabby cat at Cackle's Academy, because all the cats there are black. But that was the only one left. For some reason, I don't know why somebody would even put that there, knowing that, all the cats are supposed to be black. But because of that, it makes her stand out. And cats help witches fly on their brooms a whole lot better, but Tabby ain't having that. Tabby don't like heights. So she finds a way to, have Tabby be on her broom without her actually standing on it. And so she just puts her on the bag and let it dangle and stuff. But she's giving another familiar in the form of Star, her dog. Star is from the books, but a little bit different. Star comes from like a magical circus and stuff. Here, there's a witch who gave Star powers, and Star helps her steal things. But then later ran away, and Mildred found him, and Star is very good at flying on a broom. So she uses him and doesn't really think of Tabby all that much. However, in the third season, she does become a bit more cocky and everything, thinking she's the best at this and the best at that. And not only that, but now she has lantern duty, which is something Ethel wanted. But she doesn't get that until the fourth book, but they gave it to her in the third season. But because of the whole wishing star thing, she wants to give her mom powers, knowing that people have told her don't do it, like her friends, because they don't know what could happen. And that her mother isn't supposed to have powers, but Mildred's all like, yes, she is. It's just 13 generations just didn't have it. So after asking Miss Cackle to let her mom teach there as an arts teacher, she gives her mom magic. And at first, everything's going kind of okay, but then her mom can't get the hang of it. And then, of course, her mom turns evil, which, of course, she finds out about the whole, indigo thing. So, talking to that of one of her ancestors, she learns to make a potion from an ancient tree that's almost extinct. So, now knowing how to make spells and potions a whole lot better, she's able to free her mom, and she frees Indigo. By the fourth season, she has a new face and hairstyle because her spell backfired. Why? Because Ethel messed with it. So she now has a new appearance, and she has to turn herself back normal before a certain time is up. But because she's trying to be the head girl, time expires, just like what happened with Maud, and now she's stuck with a brand new face. And so Ironically, they wrote her to be a bit more comedic, and also she's still making a whole lot more mistakes after learning so much from that of the past, which is kind of odd. But she wants to be head girl, so she has to do a bunch of competitions with that of Ethel. And because of that, it causes her to use this water. See, when I say she's making mistakes, not just with magic, but just like, in her personal life. She tried to talk to her mom on the mirror, but some little girl came on there and said, meet me at like this river, the Crystal River, because you can see into the future. So she just decides to go and listen to this complete stranger. But then when she starts to see that the new trio is also going to the river because they spoke to this young girl, she doesn't stop to think that, hey, something kind of fishy with this. So after sending the girls back on their way, she goes to meet this young girl who turns out to be an evil old witch who tries to steal her powers. She puts up a protection spell, but and it works pretty good because she is learning a lot. But then as the witch was about to pop it, in comes Mrs. Hardbroom to save the day and blast the woman into the river. Why? Because when she was talking to that of like, the trio was talking to like the original trio, they realized something. That like the young girl told them three completely different stories. So they got worried about that. And so she's making odd like choices that are like, bad for her and stuff. And she realizes maybe she shouldn't be head girl if she was about to get three young witches that are now third years about to cost them their powers and their life. And so, like, but she still sticks with the competition, and some of them she loses, and some of them she wins. But then, when she discovers some crystal water that Mr. Daisy had, she goes back in time. Well, she uses it to look into the future, and she sees something odd is going on with Ethel in the school, so she tries to prevent it. So then she goes back in time to win a competition, technically cheating. Every scenario is worse than the other. One is where Star is banned from the school. One is where Maud gets so hurt that she has to repeat the same year again. And so she realizes, you just can't change fate. So then she doesn't try to anymore. Then I already told you about how she discovered Isabella is like that of her sister. And I guess his name is Rick, is like her father. Out of the weirdest coincidence ever, but it is in the finale where she thinks she shattered Miss Cackle, but it was really Felicity along with Ethel and stuff. And so because of that, Miss Hardbroom just like lost it with her, and I mean lost it, and sent her to a correctional school. This correctional school is damp and dreary and just so scary. It's basically like a sweatshop. Basically, it's where worse witches go so that they can learn witchcraft like there, but the school has changed the rules. There, you're not allowed to use no magic whatsoever, and you have to make magical tools for other witches to use, like a sweatshop type thing. And the head mistress is the warden is very, very mean. And there's a girl there who accidentally turned somebody into a cactus. And so when Maud sneaks into the place, well, actually gets sent there, she tells Mildred, and then they help escape and change the rules because the great wizard had no idea all that stuff was going on there because they had outdated rules and stuff. And so, of course, once again, she comes back to tell what happened and blah 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 and all this other stuff. And then Agatha Cackle just sends herself into the banishment to die. And of course, Mildred becomes that of head school. She appoints that of Maud her deputy and that of Ethel her advisor. Because she realized, as much as she doesn't like Ethel, she understands why she does the things she does, and maybe this could be a start for them trying to be friends and stuff. Mildred is a very kind, sweethearted person who always tries to look for the good in every situation, in every person. She is the person who everybody should try to embody. She is a person who is not good at the stuff that she is supposed to do, but she never gives up. That's the thing. Like, she is determined to be the best that she can and not be the worst. And that's a good lesson that everybody should try to learn. So yeah, this is still on Netflix, and you know how much I hate Netflix. It is not available on DVD in America or Canada, only in Europe and stuff. It's on DVD, which really sucks. I want this series so bad on DVD. It is my all-time favorite adaptation of The Worst Witch. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, well, I'll talk to you later. Bye.